minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Here we go. Happy Monday, everybody. It's the dawn of a brand new era. And we're back on Game Plus Television. They tell me I'm here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Moose is in Toronto. We got a really big show for you. As Ed Sullivan used to say, it is episode number 1505 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. I'm just so pleased as punch. I will tell you, Edmonton Sports Radio 1440's Kevin Karius is the guest coming up in hour 2. Darren, this is the perfect example of worlds colliding. Worlds colliding, Darren. My home state, Florida, the Panthers up against the Edmonton Oilers, Western Canada, from where I'm from and where I'm at now, meeting in the Stanley Cup Final on Wednesday. I see you are in your glory because golf is going on. Life is great. That's what I have to say to open the show this week. How about you?
Yeah, life is good, man. Good to see you. Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. And yeah, there are so many good things going on right now. There is no reason to complain.
No, not at all. Let's get down to business, everybody. It's 2 hours of sports talk. Great work by our brand new production partners, Sky Cron and Corey and the crew, getting us. We're on Game Plus Television and ready to rock and roll. And we do this every day, the Quick Six Show topics here on the RP Show. But we don't have that horn just yet. I think today I'm going to go down and buy a horn, Moose. That is the Quick Six Show horn. I'll do it downtown Main Street, Moose Jaw. The number one topic here, and I welcome everybody to settle in and get ready. Make yourself at home on Game Plus Television. We're just so happy to be back on there. Hi, guys. Hope you missed us. I know you have over the past 2 weeks. The number one topic where I live is the Stanley Cup Final. A year ago, when the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers met in the Stanley Cup Final, they were polar opposites in every regard, Darren. Climate, market, franchise history. Since Florida won that series in 7 games, much has changed to make these opponents a lot more alike. The Panthers have added talent and skill. The Oilers have gotten older. They've gotten bigger. They've got experience. Those changes set the stage for a compelling rematch starting Wednesday night, baby. How are we feeling about the Stanley Cup Final?
Yeah, when Wednesday gets here, it is going to be unlike anything else. I'm just in the camp of like, come on, let's play the games already.
I know.
Taking all this time off, you know, it's just giving everybody else a chance to get on with their summers. And, you know, I don't think you give them a chance to go find something else. But I know when the games start, this is going to be a Stanley Cup Final for the ages. I think it really is. Like, it is going to be a slobber knocker, a heavyweight tilt. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to look back and think of when we've seen two teams so clearly on the path to meet each other. Like, the whole playoffs. Yeah, to be honest, Toronto probably pushed Florida better than anybody to Game 7. But after the first 3 games of that series, we thought, no, Florida's in. They're going to the final. We thought Edmonton, after the first 2 games in L.A., they're going to the final. We just knew. Like, this is 2 dominant teams. The cream has risen to the top, so to speak.
Well, by the way, I've got a note from our producers to turn my microphone up so you guys tell me as we roll. as we continue to just work the kinks out, but we're back on Game Plus, so we're excited about that. Is this good, Corey? I feel like it's good. It's a lot louder. Our VP of Sim Events, Nelson, writes in. He says, it's going to be another ratings bonanza for Sportsnet for sure. Carlos in Indianapolis says, are we seeing the dawn of a rivalry between the Panthers and Oilers? I think we're in one. And Rich Robertson checking in from Edmonton. He says, I'm feeling nauseous. LOL. Can I say this? All our friends are here today, as they are every day. But let's be mature about it. I made my prediction yesterday. I was going to wait till later this week to drop it, but I made my prediction. I'm going to tell you the biggest reason why I picked the Florida Panthers in 6. My beautiful better half, lovely wife, Serena, called me from Florida, and she goes, will you please not pick the Oilers? Because you're always wrong. She's pulling out all the stops. She's getting in front of it. She's all the woo-woo stuff. Please don't. Please pick the Panthers. So I did. I'm picking the Florida Panthers in 6. I'll be honest. I'm not going to waffle on this and be a wussy. I got a strong sense that this is the Oilers' time. Just to look in McDavid's eyes. You know all of that. The hunger. They're clearly good enough, but I'm going to take the Panthers in 6 because happy wife, happy life. I've yet to see clear evidence of that being true, but that's the saying. Happy wife, happy life. She says, can you please take Florida? So I am. How about you?
I'm taking the Oilers. I am. I think the Oilers will win this series. And I think, I'll say in 6 games. But you're right, that look in McDavid's eyes. This, Stuart Skinner's figured it out, and he did this last year too. But they just seem like a team of destiny, if you want to call it that. Like it's just they're on a mission and they're not going to be denied. So I have a feeling about the Oilers. I think they'll win it, and that would be really exciting.
Yeah, I don't mind picking the Panthers. That's the other thing. I live there. Tons of my friends are Panthers fans, and that's another. I look at the way who you think will win and who you're cheering for are 2 different things. And I started down this road and I veered off. I'm going to go back on the road. Let's be mature about it. I put it on Facebook last night, Panthers in 6. People are giving me, well, now we're back on television. I can't give you the one-fingered salute. They're calling me names. Grow up. Oh, Rod, you've always been an Oiler hater. Shh, grow up. Can we not have it? This morning on Facebook, I put a photo of Paul Maurice in front of an RP show microphone. It might have actually been this one. And people are, how can you not cheer for the Western Canadian team? Shove it where the sun don't shine, okay? Grow up. You pick your team. I'll pick my team. You cheer for who you want. I'll cheer for who I want. We can't have this. 60 seconds. Your thoughts on that? Grow up.
Yeah. It's just getting started, man. It's just getting started with all that kind of stuff. And once the hockey, this is in the off days. Wait till the games start on Wednesday. It's going to get worse. It's going to get louder, but it's going to be fun. I'm
just saying, I'm not having it. You want to sit there and talk and gripe and say, you're anti-Western. Shove it up your ass. There's no more pro-Western Canadian guy than me. But I have Florida for my own reasons, and I'm not dead. I got it off my chest. Ooh, feels better. How we doing for Tom Core? Less than a minute, I know. We take an early break here. Okay. Memorial Cup as well, I want to talk about. We got to talk CFL week 1. And when we come back in the break, we're going to talk Pride Month because it's got a lot of people triggered. And to be honest, I'm a little surprised that we do it every year, i.e. we in the sports world. And every year it's this fight, Darren. So we'll give yours. That would have been a pretty good poll question. Do you support Pride Month? Do you support LGBT? We've got a lot to get into right after this.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut, celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Back live at the Moose Jaw Golden Ticket Event Center. Woo! Hour one brought to you by CoolBet Canada. Always the best odds at CoolBet. Use promo code RP200 to claim your welcome double bet bonus up to $200 at coolbet.com. Moose, before we move into other things, like the Pride Month thing, which we've already solicited some great comments from the viewers. You mentioned having to wait for the Stanley Cup final. Have you heard, because I looked it up on the weekend, why we're waiting till Wednesday? Have you heard any reasons why we've had to wait so long, from last Thursday when the Oilers played to Wednesday?
No, I'd love to hear the reasons.
This is what I dug up. Yeah, go ahead. Well,
I have ideas. I mean, there's a long travel, TV schedules, trying to figure out, I don't know if they're actually going to try and alternate days with the NBA finals or not, but there would be things.
Well, this is what I found on the internet, so it has to be true. Number one, primarily that. You said the NBA. They want to coordinate with the NBA. And frankly, I find that funny because they fight all year like bitter rival leagues, and then they want to work together this time of year. Pick one. Logistics, you mentioned the travel. That's a big part of it. And hype, to build up hype amongst the media. And I don't mind spending more time on this before we get into the CFL because that's a later in the week thing and some baseball I want to get to here too. But I kind of like the idea of building up the hype. It's great for guys like you and me. I got enough going on in my life. I can fill the time till Wednesday. I understand that in Edmonton they're going nuts, and from what I understand in South Florida they're going nuts in anticipation. I'll be fine. I can find something else to do. This morning I was on a Zoom call with the NHL on TNT panel. This is hilarious. And it's nice having been welcomed into the NHL media fraternity to do cool things like this. I'm on a Zoom with Eddie Olczyk and Anson Carter and a bunch of national media, and we're talking about this. And here's Eddie with his glasses on, and he's like everybody else in a Zoom call at his desk in his office, ball cap, bookshelf behind him. And he's like, 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. That's damn impressive. And then he talked about the travel. And is it a factor? And Eddie was like, look, yeah, imagine being a player, sure, flying back and forth. Whatever the flight is, it's got to be at least 6 hours. Has somebody heard? He goes, and what about us broadcasters? We got to get back and forth too. That's what Eddie said. So the travel is a major factor in this thing, in this series, this in particular, biggest geographical distance in Stanley Cup final history, save for last year, of course. And then I asked Eddie Olczyk, how cool is that about, he had a horse racing thing over his shoulder. I said, Eddie, I see that you're into racing, and I watched the show, and you talking about Vincent Viola, the Panthers owner's horse, Sandman. What's the deal with that? And he's like, well, I'm into horse racing, and they're into horse racing. We have that connection with the Viola family. This is all cool stuff. We got enough to get into with the game, but that's what's fun about series like this. They're championship games like the Grey Cup and the Super Bowl, those side stories that you don't get all year. So that's part of the reason for the delay. Whether you like it or not, that's what the NHL wants to do. So I don't have a problem with it. Do you?
I do and I don't. Like, I really don't at the end of the day. I mean, I get it with the travel and everything else. And guys have been battling to get to this point. You want to make sure that the two teams are healthy. You want the best product on the ice and all the rest. So you take a little bit of time. But in terms of the fans and the viewers and television and all the rest, I just don't want them to lose any momentum. But they won't, because it's such a good series. It's such a good matchup that I think a little anticipation is a good thing. It's really not bad. So I'm okay with it. And if they coordinate with the NBA, that's even better. Then you get sports every night.
As we all know, people just love to bitch. Colin in Ottawa writes, and he says, it's all ESPN's fault. We are having to wait so long for the Cup final to start. Jay in Winnipeg says, not until Wednesday? This is killing momentum. No wonder ratings are down. Maybe, maybe not. Pretty sure you're going to be watching. I know I'm going to be watching. I can't speak for the other people. Again, this is the whole idea of building up hype. I don't know. June 24th, they handed out the Stanley Cup last year in Sunrise. Second most watched Game 7 in Stanley Cup final history. So if you want to create that narrative, you people, go ahead. But it's not working. People are still tuning in. And that's the other thing. On that Zoom call, one of the reporters asked Eddie, they said, for your friends that are in sports outside of hockey, because I work in baseball and football, you are big into tennis and you got your football thing. But outside of hockey, are the people interested, your friends? Which I thought was a pretty cool question, actually. And Eddie goes, yeah, they are. And he goes, and they're into it because of McDavid. And he goes, and they were into it with Four Nations face-off as well. And very cool question. This lady seemed to come from like the news side of things. That's the way the media is now. And I'm like, yeah, my non-hockey fan friends for sure in Florida are into this. But they are around here. Well, everybody is in Canada. But how about yours, Darren, in terms of your friends that aren't normal hockey fans? Are they know what's going on with the Cup?
Oh, yeah. They know what's going on, especially with the Oilers in it. I think that's something, too, that still exists. Is there's a Canadian team in it, so we're all interested a little bit and rooting for the Oilers. There's a lot of that. I know there's a lot of fan bases and a lot of sports fans who want the Oilers to lose, like Canadian sports fans.
Yep.
Because, whatever. But generally, I think Canadians want the Oilers to win. And I think that would have been the same regardless of the Canadian team that was in it. Generally, people will want to see Canada win, which is great. That's what we want. And that's got people really excited. So, yeah, I've seen people pay attention.
From the audience, back to point 2 on the pride. Well, on a few things. Number 1, don't get your butt hurt if I'm picking the Panthers to win, even though I'm an original Canadian. John says, Raj Rant, grow up. Carlos in Indianapolis says, Carlos says, for those who wanted to see a Raj Rant, hope you're happy. Wayne in BC says, I love Raj Rant. I'm just stopping it before it gets started. Randy in Winnipeg says, people whining because of predictions is such a woke thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to what's more traditional. Whining about Pride Month. Tony in Cochrane writes in and he says, I celebrate Pride Month about as much as I do the Oilers winning the Cup. He hates the Oilers. Hang on, Darren. There were a lot of Pride comments in here. Here's my thing. I will say this to all and sundry. Nobody is going to listen to what I have to say, but that's fine. How does it affect your life? Why do you care so much? If they want to celebrate Pride Month, let them celebrate Pride. To be honest, it's a major, courageous thing to do for the teams to do it because you're going to anger your fans. Are you going to lose fans? I don't know. You're on this show with me every day, Darren, so you know my stance. It's from the show Ray Donovan, Mickey Donovan's neighbor, the guy that smokes weed all day in a wheelchair. He's like, I get along with everybody. Makes life a lot easier. So do I. If we want to celebrate Pride, go, you go. Why do people get so upset? Any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why people get so upset about it. When you're right, it doesn't really affect you. And to be honest, when you talk about upsetting fans, I don't think the teams are really upsetting fans anymore. I think, the number of fans that they're upsetting is getting fewer and fewer every year. I think you're probably right. They're upsetting some people, but they're not. I think it's getting smaller and smaller every year because the closed-mindedness, the bigotry, the whatever, the negative people, there's less and less of them because we're all growing and adapting and, evolving in this new world. And, we're accepting of people. The people that have their, feet in the mud, they're growing too. The ones that really have their feet in cement blocks and aren't willing to change, that group is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which is a good thing. So I don't think the teams are too worried about it. It hasn't affected attendance. It hasn't affected ratings. So I don't think they're worried about it. And I think that's a good thing. We're doing what's right, supporting people, and we're seeing athletes in the game. We're seeing media members in the game more comfortable. So it's all great.
If you think it's not upsetting as many people, you haven't gone into the mentions because I have. I go in there just for the entertainment. Oh, they're still pissed off. So Randy in Winnipeg writes in and says, where is it? 1 day for our fallen soldiers to honor them. 1 month for a group. No thanks. So they're also entitled to their opinions as well. If you either support it or you don't. Rich in Edmonton says, 100%, Rod. I have a family member in the community. Why would you care? It reminds me of the night before the Labor Day Classic last year. I was at a party with some Bomber fans. Not a big deal. Not this is a Winnipeg thing, but this lady came up to me that I know quite well from Winnipeg. I love her. And she talked about this GoFundMe page that had been created for this person. And she was like, do you think it's right that they would have a GoFundMe page? I turned to her and I said, how does it affect your life? And she looked at me and she was like, yeah, I guess you're right. Don't support the GoFundMe page then. And we're good. So I don't know that we're making any progress in terms of a society in you do you, but it is what it is. And for those that have friends and family in the LGBT community, and Darren does, I do, it's not an easy life for them. It's not an easy life for them. So anyways, if the teams want to do it, great. If they don't, I'm just surprised that we're still doing a thing. Okay. Moving on. You're welcome. Tony from Cochrane says, I celebrate Orange Shirt Day. It's to support the Indigenous, not the Oilers. Sorry. Phil writes in and says, the start for Wednesday Stanley Cup is perfect because the CFL starts the day after and the NBA Finals plus baseball and UFL as well. Life is good. Oh, it's really good. Moose Jaw, where I'm spending the summer, is beautifully green and lush, Darren. It's absolutely fantastic. I came back at a great time. I should mention this. The Toronto Blue Jays, riding a 5-game win streak and sitting 3 games above 500, have the day off today as they prepare to open a 3-game series tomorrow against visiting Philadelphia. The Phillies second in the NL East, 1 game behind the New York Mets. And the Western Canadian Baseball League is off and running. We, with the Moose Jaw Miller Express, are 1-3. We're having a lot of fun in the baseball world. But a lot of CFL fans have shown up here today. Now would be the time to get Grey Cup predictions. If you gave me one, Darren, I forgot or I didn't write it down. I'm still saying you haven't?
No, not yet.
Do you give one? Do you want to give one?
Well, I can come up with one.
What do you got?
Oh man, I need more of a minute than this. What do I think?
Okay, no, I don't want to put you on the spot. Everybody, who do you have in your Grey Cup? Naylor, I'm going to put this at Naylor had Sask, Ottawa, and that opens it up on Thursday. That's the week 1 game, the kickoff game. I can't remember what Barker said on Friday. I put that in the newsletter. I don't remember what he said. It was like BC somebody, and I can't remember who the hell, because everybody's got an opinion, just like belly buttons, and most of them stink. Is that enough tap dancing?
Yeah, I look at the East and I have a hard time thinking that Toronto's not going to be right there in the mix. But it would be awfully boring of a prediction for me to say Winnipeg, Toronto again in the Grey Cup. But I am going to say Winnipeg and Hamilton in the Grey Cup.
Ta-da! You said Winnipeg, Hamilton?
Yeah.
I don't know that that's ever been a Grey Cup combination. Somebody help me out. I'm sure it has long before my time. From the audience, Allie checks in for from Texarkana. Oh, Allie, you missed all the fireworks. You're going to have to rewind. Or I could do it again for your benefit. But, by the way, Corey, speak up, please. If you yell at the cues. I'm old. Allie, we talked about Pride Month at our own peril. How do we feel about it? We talked about the Stanley Cup final. Why are we waiting so long? That was all already what we talked about. We'll continue with that if you wish. John writes that he says Ottawa, Saskatchewan Grey Cup. Carlos in Indianapolis says Saskatchewan against somebody. LOL. James Warnicki, nicknamed Mooner, says a repeat of 89 for the Grey Cup. Rod. That's Sask Hamilton. I remember it well. Darren was 1 year old. Bill from Toronto says, good morning, crew. This Leaf fan is cheering for the Oilers until June 21st. Go, Oilers, go. We'll be back in a moment. Right after this. Get these comments coming in, everybody.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut, celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th with special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Laquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Hour one is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas, and Landmark Cinemas now Fight or Flight. A mercenary takes on the job of tracking down a target on a plane, but must protect her when they're surrounded by people trying to kill both of them. Starring Josh Hartnett, Katie Sackhoff, and Julian Kostov. Fight or Flight in Landmark Cinemas now. I'm in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and Moose is in Toronto. You didn't tell me. I had my zipper too far down. I was Larry Leisure suit going on. Was it making you uncomfortable? It was making me uncomfortable when I got
You got the meatloaf hanging out the front.
I know. It's white too. How vain is it if you put hair dye in your chest hair?
Hey, you do you, man.
You do you. He puts chest hair dye in his chest hair. That's how vain he is. 902-518-3033. Welcome back, everybody, on Game Plus Television. It's funny, our producer, Corey, wanted everything perfect before he went to air on Game Plus. That's not usually how we roll, Moose. We're cowboys. They come as you are.
Exactly.
But hey, you gotta admire his professionalism and eye for perfectionism. But we're all happy to be back on Game Plus today. Freddie in Winnipeg writes in. He says, welcome back to the Boob Tube RP crew. Good newsletter this past weekend. I just want Winnipeg in the Grey Cup against anyone. We talked a lot of Stanley Cup to this point and Pride Month. There's a lot of football fans here that would like to discuss all this. Shy in Saskatchewan writes in. He says, Rod, can't you breathe in Moose Jaw with the air quality? I don't know. I look around. I'm breathing just fine, Shy. Just worry about you. Nelson. Okay, everybody writing in. Matt writes in. Matt Hyman says the Bombers beat the Ticats back-to-back in 2019 and 2021. Okay, I forgot. This is one thing you're going to have to get used to. I'm not looking back at all. So, yeah, Hamilton and Winnipeg have met in the Grey Cup multiple times. Terry in Calgary. Terry the lawyer writes in, and he says... late 50s for Bombers Ticats. Bud Grant versus Jim Trimble. Or Mike O'Shea versus Orlando Steinauer. And Kevin the Medium checks in. He says, good morning, RP peeps. Happy Monday to y'all. I am picking BC to win it all. Yes, I'm an irrational fan, but based on what I saw from Rourke on Friday, I have a feeling BC will be a surprise. Why do you have – I have Winnipeg, but why do you have Winnipeg representing the West in the Grey Cup?
Yeah, because they continue to be one of the best teams in the Canadian Football League, but also a little bit is I won't Winnipeg in. I'll be honest. I'll say it. That would be great for Winnipeg to be in for a number of reasons. The storylines are great. It'd be great for anybody, but it's at home, which I would love to see them in the game at home, and it would also spark this dynasty conversation, right? We talk about that quite a bit, and I think some people are sick of it, but I don't think it's kind of run its course yet. If they win this one at home, they can go around and cement that dynasty legacy. But if they don't, then it continues to be like, oh, well, what is it, right? And they missed out. And so I think there's a lot of storylines. I think there's a lot of pressure on Winnipeg. I think it's a big year for that organization.
It's week 1 in the Canadian Football League, everybody. If this is why you wonder why we're talking about it right now, this is why. I'm going to get to your comments. A lot of them had to do with Stanley Cup. A lot of them have to do with Pride Month. We've got some hot button issues today on the show. Moose is adjourning after this segment for the week, and I'm going to ask him why in a second. And it's going to be you and me, folks, up till the top of the hour and into hour 2, and that's when we'll be joined by Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says production is looking smooth today. Yes, it is, and it's sounding smooth, too. BW writes in, he says, it sounds great here in North Dakota. Again, Corey wanted to be perfect. Said no one with us, ever. But here we are, and we're perfect. It does exist. Troy in Toronto.
You know what that makes me think of? Sorry. When he
Troy
says it's sounding
Toronto,
good, it's like, are we an AM radio station? You know, it sounds good in South Dakota. Like we get the signal beamed in there.
Well, I asked Corey about that. I said, how come everybody's saying our sound is so much better? And he got into explaining why. Sorry, I asked. It just sounds a lot better. Troy in Toronto says, I think it's important to be inclusive. We shouldn't judge others in the LBGTQ2S+. It is about freedom, and that means others' lives are none of your business. That's kind of what I said. How does it affect you? Everybody that's getting so triggered. Darren, you talk about the dynasty discussion. Hang on. We got so many comments. Listen, I'll get to the rest of your comments, everybody, after Darren adjourns in the next 2 segments after this one, because they're all over the place, just like this show. But would you mind? You got your golf gear on already. Can you tell folks why and what you've got going on this week, Moose?
Yeah, Canadian Open is in the GTA this week, and so I'm going to be out at TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley, just northwest of the city, and working. It's going to be awesome. So the Canadian Open, they actually tee off the tournament Thursday, but there's a bunch of stuff going on starting tomorrow, a big draw party. I'll be at the Pro-Am Wednesday hosting the Pro-Am on the golf course. So if you're around the course, I'll be out there on the mic interacting with some of the players, which will be really cool. It's going to be a fun week.
Every time I hear the Pro-Am now, I think of Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore. Okay, Happy. Who's the pros or the Ams? Yeah. Who are some of the? Do you know who the celebrities will be in the Pro-Am? Because I'm not a golf guy. I haven't golfed in 4 years.
Sure.
That will not be a shock to anybody. Who is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to find out tomorrow what the schedule looks like and who we're actually going to see. But Rory McIlroy's in the tournament, so likely going to be in the Pro-Am. We'll see Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Oberg, one of the top players in the world. He'll be there, young player. Shane Lowry is going to be in there. And then obviously the Canadians, Nick Taylor, Mike Weir's on site. He's going to play in it again. It's going to be a really, really fun week.
So what's funny is I know some people that do business with Rory McIlroy in Florida. I don't want to out them, but they know him very well. Like they've been in his home and they've actually showed me pictures of some really like his trophy room. Basically, it's the trophy room. It's Rory McIlroy. For God's sakes, he needs a room for all his trophies. Gretzky had a trophy room too in Brantford, Ontario. But they show me pictures and they say he's the best guy. So I find it kind of funny. Everybody's crapping all over him because he won't do interviews, and I guess he didn't thank Jack Nicklaus for the that we know of publicly for the tips that he gave him to help him win the Masters. So you tell me if you're around Rory, which it sounds like you will be, what he's like. Are you allowed to snap selfies with guys on the hole when they go by?
Well, yeah, I think so. We're going to find out. Like. We got some fun. I've got a lot of creative freedom to do what I want. So I've got a lot of fun interview stuff I'm going to do with the players and a few other things. So it should be fun. I hope there's going to be lots of opportunities for photos, and I'll tell you all about it.
This will be on your social media channels just to prep everybody so they know where to go?
I'll put some content out there for sure.
It's very easy to follow, everybody, at Darren Dupont. He'll be at the Canadian Open all week. Okay, Happy. Price is wrong, bitch. Oh, my God. Is the new Happy Gilmore out yet? I knew that it was coming out. Is it out yet?
I'm glad you brought that up. The trailer dropped, I think, over the weekend or late last week. Tons of cameos, from John Daly and all the pros that are playing today. And it should be good. But, no, it's out this summer, I think July or August.
Okay, well, we're going to have a heck of a lot of stories the rest of the way for the next 20, 40 minutes on this program, because I'll talk a little more about this NHL on TNT's Zoom that I was on this morning, which was exciting with Anson Carter and Eddie Olczyk, and I had the chance to ask my questions, and we had these guys in their element, and it's fun. That's the same thing. Like, you see what you see on TV. It is very rarely what it's actually like, right? And you see all the stuffy pundits with their suits and ties, and they're looking so serious, and that they're like that on every channel. But they're not like that. That's why I gravitate to what Biz is doing, because he's just him. Everybody wants to be so serious and so, but you're not serious. So let's have some fun. It's sports, for the love of God. Nobody's dying. Gah. Anyways, we got a sports update coming up on the other side of this break, and also a ton of text questions. We're asking, who will win the Stanley Cup? Who are you cheering for in the Stanley Cup? It's week 1 in the CFL. Who's going to be in the Grey Cup? So we got a lot of questions of our viewers today, and plus also, do you support Pride Month? Moose, I'm going to miss you, man. Enjoy the golfers.
I know. Thank you.
We got a steady string of co-hosts lined up this week in Darren's absence, however, so stay tuned every day here on Game Plus and YouTube as we parade them through here, sashay them through here. So, yeah, we'll be right back with all those fun things after this.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are broadcasting live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Shaw, Saskatchewan. And let me tell you something about Golden Ticket Sports Center. Join the action here, your hub for sports, fitness, and community fun. GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. Before I jump into the sports update, some members of the audience have been waiting patiently to have their comments read. Chad in Lethbridge, Alberta, writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. He's watching on Game Plus TV. He says, Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers. Grey Cup champion, Saskatchewan Roughriders over Ottawa. NBA champion, Oklahoma City Thunder. And WCBL champion, Saskatoon over Sylvan Lake. He's putting his balls on the table today with some very bold predictions. Rob writes in from Windthorst. He says, Elks, Alouettes, Grey Cup. And he says, I'm cheering for the former Bruins on the Florida Panthers. Marchand, Greer, Nosek, Boquist, and Frederick with the Oilers. We'll be happy with whoever wins. Just want an exciting series. And he also says, Happy Gilmore 2 drops July 25th on Netflix. Can't wait. I guess while you're brought up, you hope it's a good game or series. How about that Memorial Cup final on Sunday? Isn't this always the way? I'm pumped up all week for a game. Got snacks ready to go. Plunk my fat butt down on the seat on the couch to watch the Memorial Cup final. And it's not always the way, but it was on Sunday. The London Knights are in celebration mode. The Ontario Hockey League champions won their third Memorial Cup title in franchise history on Sunday in Rimouski, Quebec. Denver Barkey scored twice to lead the way, while Easton Cowan won tournament MVP for London. It marked London's second straight trip to the Memorial Cup final, this time avenging last year's heartbreaking loss to host Saginaw, who scored the winner with 22 seconds to go. So it was hard, man. I had a lot of my hockey friends. We were all watching it, and we were all pulling for Medicine Hat as Western Canadian guys, and they were never in it. And I got to give Moose credit. He's not just a pretty face. He said last week, London is by far the best team in Canada, and that includes Medicine Hat. And I'm like, And there's another lesson here. Medicine Hat beat London in Tuesday's round-robin game for all the marbles until that point to go right to Sunday's final. So we thought they were a better team. Those aren't the games that you want to win. You try to win, but don't get too down when you don't. Because they turned the tables in the final, and it was a sucky game. It was fun to watch it. TSN did a tremendous job. It's always nice to see my guy Craig Button. But bad game. Unless you're a London fan. And then the other thing was there's been a few comments about this around this town, but Major Junior Hockey is losing their top players to the NCAA fast. So there's an easy way to get around the NCAA stealing your players, WHL. Pay your players. But that's not a topic I'm interested in getting into anymore today. The Toronto Blue Jays are off today after completing a 4-game sweep of the Athletics, the homeless Athletics. The sweep extended their win streak to 5 games and vaulted them into second place in the American League East at 31-28. Toronto scored at least 8 runs in all 4 games. The Jays open a 3-game series at home against Philadelphia Tuesday. Heavy Gym brings you our sports headlines. They're not just about lifting weights. They're about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I know for the breadth, the depth of our audience, the junior hockey isn't the major thing, which annoys me because we have teams literally from coast to coast. But this is the national championship where you should all be paying attention. What else do we have here? Yes, as Carlos in Indianapolis has pointed out. And now, Moose not here. Moose not here for the rest of the week. We will soldier on. It's my bad. I opened the door to golf talk. I'm now closing it. I'm not sure. Hang on. I should just say this. 902-518-33 is the Progressive Insurance text line. John Ohms watching in Winnipeg. John Ohms says, what's the logo on your jacket, Rod? It's the Moose Jaw Warriors, and it's their old logo, which has been deemed culturally inappropriate. I'm not trying to be culturally inappropriate here on the second day of Pride Month. This was given to me by the Moose Jaw Warriors. It's, I told you I had this unzipped like leisure suit Larry earlier in the program. It's got says established 1984 right in the collar. It's really cool. But they've changed their logo since this. This was, I think, brought in 1991 to rave reviews. And as usual, the First Nations people don't have a problem with it. It was a bunch of non-First Nations people that got upset by this logo. But it's not like I'm going to be thrown in cancel culture jail because I wore this jacket today. That's the answer. The Moose Jaw Warriors. Maybe I need a new jacket. It wouldn't take much to get one from them, I'm sure. The new logo is symbolic of the 15-wing snowbirds. Yeah, as Nelson says, the new logo is really good too. Yes. We're talking Stanley Cup final today. Let's get back on course. The poll question for EMJ Marketing is who will win the Stanley Cup final? The first poll suggested 69% said the Edmonton Oilers will win. It's dropped to 61% saying the Edmonton Oilers will win. I've done a little bit of studying on this. Game one isn't until Wednesday, and the most important NHL show I do, the Cats and Bolts podcast, will go live on Wednesday. I'll save the best tidbits for that. But I was on a few Florida shows on the weekend talking about this series, and they crunched the numbers. They said the Oilers had the best power play in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but the Panthers had the best penalty kill. We can go through the check marks, which I'm going to do next hour with Kevin Karius of Sports 1440 Edmonton, because I do these check marks of the series. And when you do, we've been pretty bang on with who will win the series. I'll tell you right now, the odds makers are saying that the Oilers are favored very, very, very narrowly, and the reason is because of home ice. The Panthers had home ice last year, won a Game 7, 2-1 at home. It ain't small, especially their home. Rogers Place, probably the greatest home ice advantage in the NHL, although the Panthers since 2023 have been the best home team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They won the most home games of any team since 2023, Florida. This will probably go 7, but as I pointed out earlier this show, I have picked the Florida Panthers to win in 6 games, primarily because my beautiful bride asked me to. She's like, you're always wrong. Will you please not pick Edmonton? Okay. Yeah. It's amazing how logo talk and name talk just gets people going. You're talking about this Moose Jaw Warrior logo that I have on my chest. I love the jacket. It's very cozy. It's very warm. And it meant a lot to me that the Warriors gave it to me not long after my time with the Regina Pats. Pissed off a lot of Pats people that can't believe you'd wear that. Yeah, what have you given me lately? Oh, yeah, nothing. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, he says, Leisure Suit Larry. Now, there's a throwback. Oh, yeah, I got 1 million of them. What'd I tell you? What's this, Corey? Okay. 2 minutes to break, everybody. 2 minutes. We're just working out timing, but I'd say we're doing pretty damn good. Scott in Vancouver writes, and he says, the real offensive thing towards veterans is advertising for Christmas in October and November, anytime before the 11th. Well, it depends on the veteran that you talk to. As you probably know, I do a lot of work with the military in the mental health and addiction field, and they're like, hey, we fight to defend the borders for you to do whatever you want. So I say it again, how does it affect your life? A lot of us honor the military every day. Those who fought and fight to protect our borders. It's a personal choice thing. I'm not getting wrapped up on it. That's Pride and Veterans and Memorial Day and all the rest, because now I live in both countries. But as far as me making a prediction that Florida's going to win the Stanley Cup, and I got people saying, oh, you're not supporting Western Canada. Oh, you're a traitor. You know what you can do. Jeff the Stamps fan writes in, he says, who wins the cup? The team that is hungrier, which will be Edmonton. Florida just ate. It's simple human nature. Yes, but that doesn't speak to the back-to-back nature. You're probably right. That's why I feel like it's Edmonton's time. I feel like they're hungrier. But happy wife, happy life. They say. I have yet to see concrete evidence of that, but just go with it. Colin in Ottawa says, I was cheering for the Medicine Hat Tigers last night, as many here in Ontario hate the London Knights. Hate's a strong word, but you do you. I had a guy here the other day say, I was wearing a Panthers thing, and he goes, if there's one thing I hate, it's the Edmonton Oilers. Hate is so draining. Rich in Edmonton says, stuff 'em, Rod. Pick who you want to pick. And I'm an Oiler fan. Sounds easy, doesn't it? It's not that easy. Coming up next hour, we'll continue the Stanley Cup final talk. Everything we talked about. Some baseball, NFL OTAs, CFL, Week 1, Pride Month if you want. And Kevin Karius from Sports 1440. We'll be right back.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th with special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Well, hello there. Welcome to hour 2 of the RP show, everybody, live on the Game Plus television network. After a bumpy couple of weeks, everything is back to normal for the whatever normal is. And it's episode number 1505 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, coming to you live from the Moose Jaw Event Center, Sports Center, Golden Ticket Sports Center here in Moose Jaw. I'll get used to it. It's our summer home again as I broadcast Moose Jaw Muller Express baseball games and come to Canada for the summer, get out of red-hot Florida. It's the greatest life ever. Now, Moose will not be with us for the rest of the week. He was off the top of the show for an hour. He's going to work the Canadian Open PGA event. So he's doing that. We've got a bevy of co-hosts and guests coming in throughout the week, including Kevin Karius, who will be joining us in the very next segment of this hour, too. But in the absence of our Quick Six show horn, which I haven't bought yet, and that's on me, I'm actually way busier here than you would think in Moose Jaw. Somebody tell me where I would go to buy a horn, because I'll get my own horn. And we do it every day, the Quick Six show horn. Here's what we've been talking about. The Stanley Cup Final. It opens on Wednesday. Here are the reasons why. 3 that I looked up on the weekend and discovered why we had got to wait till Wednesday for the Stanley Cup Final. Number 1, they're trying to sync it with the NBA. They're working with the NBA so the games go staggered nights with the NBA Final. That's the biggest reason. Number 2, logistics. It's a big deal to pull off the Stanley Cup Final, and for a second straight year in this rematch, it's the biggest geographical difference ever. They want to give the players the best chance to get healthy and extra rest if they can. And 3, build up hype, shows like this. And I'm all for that. Trust me, we're going to get to a few other things here as well. But here's an example of things that they do. And because we are now an NHL-accredited show with both this and the Cats and Bolts podcast, the show that I host in Florida, we get invited to all these cool things. Like this morning, the NHL on TNT crew had a Zoom call. It was more exciting than you'd think. I logged in there, and there's Eddie Olczyk at his desk in front of a bookcase, like everybody else at a Zoom call that you're on. It's a normal guy. Can you believe it? He's just a normal guy, Eddie Olczyk, with his ball cap on and his glasses, and Anson Carter, and a lot of national media just talking about this series, the Oilers and the Panthers. I'm like, this is it. They're trying to sell it. The media does your marketing for you. How about that? So treat them well. It's quite a concept. And Eddie goes, when you think about it, to go to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, he goes, damn, that's a great feat. But she's right. I didn't catch all of the Zoom, and I don't know if they did predictions or not. And what's the point, by the way, because that particular panel, they were all off going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Wayne Gretzky was the guy of all of them that picked an Edmonton, Florida Stanley Cup final, but that even he changed course and scratched off Florida and put Tampa Bay on there. And by the way, Wayne was not on this Zoom this morning. Anyways, hang on, from the audience. Why am I doing this? I'm seeing what the audience has to say. Nelson says, is there a scoreboard in that court? Can you just tell them to let you control the buzzer? Hey, that's a good idea. Carlos in Indianapolis says maybe the Alouettes can send you one of their air horns that they can't use anymore. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, well, Rod, I shop a lot at Canadian Tire, which seems to have almost everything you can think of. PV Mart's closed. A Canadian tradition. Welcome to PV Mart. If we don't have it, you don't need it. 902-518-3033. I have said Panthers in 6. That was my prediction. I dropped it on Sunday on Facebook, and I'm not going to get into the rant that I did last hour, but if you're not mature enough to even accept that I'm from Western Canada but picked Florida, then we can't be friends. Grow up. It's a prediction. Greg in Calgary writes in, he says, I'm cheering for Florida, but I think it's Edmonton's year. I kind of think it's Edmonton's year too, but for my own reasons. I'm on record as saying Florida. Don't say I'm waffling. Even my own intuition saying you're waffling, Rod. You think it's Edmonton, but you're picking. I have my own reasons. Matthew in Winnipeg writes in, Matt Hyman on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. He says, hey, Rod, will you be coming to this year's Grey Cup in Winnipeg? Live shows beside Huss and Remus again? I will say this. Nothing's planned, but I'm pretty sure that I'll be there. We go to the Grey Cup every year. I wouldn't miss it. And thanks, by the way, for the segue, because I want to veer off on that for a second. Jeff in the zone writes in, and he says, good morning, Rod. I'm cheering for Edmonton, too. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm cheering for Florida. That's not... Number one, they are not the underdog necessarily, but the Oilers are Canada's team. Everybody I'm surrounded by is cheering for Edmonton. Somebody's got to cheer for Florida, not the least of which I live there. And number two, it's been 4 seasons that I've been covering that team, and they've treated me so great. I want them to win. What have the Oilers done for me? Nothing. BW, watching in North Dakota, says, Google says horns are available at the souvenir shop on Main Street in Moose Jaw. That's where I'm going right after this show. Downtown Main Street, Moose Jaw. Gonna go there anyways. John Ohm says, if I cheer for the Panthers, am I anti-Canadian? I'll tell you what. Why don't you do it, John, and see how it goes? Now, other topics was Pride Month. Yeah, we're going to go down that road. 902-518-33 is the Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you can save a bunch. And I'm not going to spend as much time on it here as I did last hour, but I was just a little surprised. June hit. It's Pride Month, and I'm seeing it from pretty much all of our teams that we cheer for or follow on social media. They're all doing their logos. And the predictable mentions are predictable. It's the same every year. And I'm like, are we still doing this? I'm, what should I say, pro-inclusivity. I feel if you ignore or ostracize some of your fans, that's not a very smart thing to do. So what I will say to the people that are getting triggered, how does it affect your life? Please get back to me on that, because you're going to have to think about it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't affect your life. So why are you so pissed off? Kevin the Medium checks in and says, Oilers in 6. Oh. Says the guy from Alberta. Ted in Red Deer writes in, he says, I think the team with the best goaltending wins. With that, I'd take Bob over Skinner, in my opinion. Well, as would I, and we saw what happened last year. Kevin Karius coming up in the next segment from Sports 1440 Edmonton to break it all down. I was on a podcast yesterday in Florida called the Florida Panthers Fan Den. My friend Bill in Florida hosted, and we went through the check marks, and that's what I'm going to do with Karius next, just so you know. I've been doing this, as you know, I've been broadcasting hockey since high school. Check marks: goaltending, blue line, forwards, coaching. You can add in special teams. You probably should. And then 6, the X factor, the woo-woo factor, the momentum, the hockey gods, whatever. Edmonton's got that. They got it. The team of destiny thing, the look in McDavid's eyes thing, the touching the cup thing, the conference trophy. Edmonton's got that all. Is it enough to win a series? I don't know. I think the biggest one is goaltending, as the gentleman just said. BW writes in, he says, which team has the most Canadians? I think it's Edmonton, but I don't know. What I know about Florida is they don't have anybody from remotely near Saskatchewan. At least last year they had Josh Mahura, who played for the Pats. He's from Edmonton area. I don't know that. Maybe I should as the sports talk guy, but just haven't looked it up. As I said, 902-518-3033. I kind of wrapped up that Pride Month thing fast, didn't I? How's that affect your life? I haven't heard from anybody on that. They haven't had an answer. CFL Week 1, we're not going to make the picks probably until Thursday, and I don't even know if I'm going to bring in Moose to do that because his only appearance of the week was today. Maybe somebody's going to have to help me with the CFL picks for Cool Bet Canada. Always the best odds at Cool Bet Canada. Shy in Saskatchewan writes, and he says, why does Rod keep bringing up Pride Month? Why do you keep bringing up that I keep bringing it up? Get a life. I said get a life. Get a life and come back to me. See how that goes. Now is the time to get your Grey Cup predictions in as far as I'm concerned, and just so you know, I'm writing them down. I'll remember them. I said Winnipeg, Toronto a month ago. Nothing's really changed. The biggest reason why, for me, is that I've got so much respect for the Bomber organization. Carl Walters, Mike O'Shea. I know that they've got changes. Buck Pierce, their offensive coordinator's gone. The odd player here and there gone. But the guts are still there. The Zach Caleroses, the Nick Dembskis, the Willie Jeffersons. The gang's still together as far as I'm concerned, and until they're not, they're going to be there. And they're going to do everything possible to be in the game because they're hosting it. And don't forget, they've lost the last 3 straight Grey Cups. Winnipeg, Toronto for me. Moose says Winnipeg, Hamilton. And that's triggered a lot of comments from our viewers, and we welcome them. I appreciate it. Ryan checks in from upstate New York. He says, good day, Rod Squad. Make yourself comfortable, Ryan. We've covered a lot today. Stanley Cup final opening Wednesday. Who do you think's going to win? 61% of voters on our poll for EMJ Marketing say Oilers. Didn't surprise me at all. Number 2, Pride Month. Why is everybody getting so upset? How does it affect your life? 3, CFL, Week 1. By the way, it's Ottawa at Sask Thursday, Friday, Toronto at Montreal, and then a Saturday doubleheader, Hamilton at Calgary, followed by Edmonton at BC. And that Friday through Sunday schedule that I love so much, I think it's the greatest thing the CFL's done in years, doesn't start until Week 4, which is unfortunate, but that's true summer. That'll be July, August that they do that. Taylor in Calgary writes in, he says, I've never cheered for the Oilers and never will. Carlos Legena points out 1:11 Eastern. It's just passed, but thank you. I say visualize a positive outcome to your current situation. It's happening again for me. I'm quite happy about that. Visualize a positive outcome. Stay positive. What do you got to lose? Randy from Winnipeg brings up regarding the Pride thing. He goes, it's the month thing, Rod. 1 day for our fallen, 1 day for Canada, 1 day for the Indigenous, etc. Why do they need a month? I'll say it again. How does that affect your life? That's all. How does that affect your life? Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, I'm joining late, but I heard the Argos cut Kadeem Carey. Well, that's the other thing. It was the final cut-down week in the CFL. Final cut-down day on Saturday. I guess 3 teams announced their cuts. I see everybody was pissed off that the other 6 didn't announce it on time. CFL gonna CFL. This is interesting. Ted in Red Deer writes in, he says, it's great that the CFL is kicking off another unpredictable CFL season. Awesome. It's interesting because I was sitting across the desk from my accountant here in Moose Jaw on Friday. After the show, I went down and met with him. And he's doing my thing. And He looks up at me, long-time Rider season ticket holder, but he's not anymore. They were talking about the smoke and the forest fires that are affecting Canada, Western Canada. And I said, yeah, they're delaying the kickoff of the football game tonight by an hour. Rough Riders were playing Winnipeg. And he looked up at me and he goes, Riders are playing already? And I'm like, I'm shocked you don't know. But it is what it is. Moose Jaw is in its own vortex of weather. It's always a little warmer. It's always a little warmer. While the smoke has infected the town during the day, at night it seems to have cleared off. We've had some beautiful nights for baseball, which, by the way, tonight in the Western Canadian Baseball League, it's the Saskatoon Berries home to the Swift Current 57s at the Berry Patch, and Okotoks is at Brooks, and the Blue Jays are off. It's a very light night in sports. No Stanley Cup, no NBA, no Memorial Cup, obviously. Go do something fun. BW in North Dakota says, Montreal Elkamos, Grey Cup. Montreal Edmonton, a rematch of the 2002 Grey Cup and 2003 for that matter. Elkamos, huh? I don't got them making the playoffs. Kevin the Medium writes it. He says, I just don't get some folks. No, me either. But what specifically are we talking about? Is it because of the pride thing? Is it because of your Grey Cup predictions? Is it because of what? People getting triggered because I picked Florida to win the Stanley Cup for my own personal reasons? Why is it? Kevin Karius coming up in the next segment. And he is from Edmonton Sports Radio 1440. We'll be talking primarily Stanley Cup, but he's also a very big CFL fan, lifelong fan, and he covers the Elkamos pretty closely. Maybe he can tell me why the Elks will make the playoffs this year, because not everybody can. Jim Barker was here on Friday from the CFL on TSN. He picked BC against somebody. I can't remember who he picked. So it's a good old Canadian sports talk segment coming up next with Kevin Karius of Sports 1440 Edmonton. Get your questions in now, and you can also reach us on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. Back with Karius right after this.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th with special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
And the RP Show continues. Hour 2, brought to you by CoolBet Canada. Always the best odds. Use promo code RP200 to claim your welcome double bet bonus up to $200 at coolbet.com. Kevin Karius joins us from Sports 1440 Edmonton. And Dickie, you probably saw the Oilers are favored by the sports books to win this thing in 7, which begins on Wednesday. What are you thinking about the Stanley Cup final?
I got him in 5. Roddy, I'm picking the Oilers in 5. I think that this team is playing so well right now. They've got more depth than they've ever had. When you look at how this matchup is going to play out, Florida has a lot of depth too, but I don't think it matches what the Oilers can bring on a line-to-line basis. And they've got so many guys on the bottom 6 right now, guys like Janmark, guys like put Coles in. Kapanen's even been in the top 6 forwards group, but they've got more depth now than they've ever had, and I think it's going to be a problem for Florida to handle.
Oilers never do it easy, do they? I remember like your first visit of the year, they'd lost in Montreal, right? And you were like, they only work as hard as they have to. They don't. Where did they get it together? I have not found yet that spot where it all came together.
Well, to be honest with you, it probably came together in the Los Angeles series. And there were a couple key points in that series where it could have gone either way, but the Oilers remained calm and they battled hard. I mean, if you go back to Game 3, there was that coach's challenge by Jim Hiller. It was ill-advised, and it ended up being a big reason why the Oilers won game number 3. Then in game number 4, I mean, Quinton Byfield had an opportunity to clear the puck with the Kings up 3-2 in the last minute of the game. He fails to do so. The Oilers tie it and then score in overtime to win it. I would say right at that part is where everything came together, because you have to remember that this whole team that we're seeing right now never played together at all when it comes to the regular season, because Evander Kane was out the entire year. Trent Frederick came on at the end of the year and didn't play hardly at all, 1 game, and that was it. And then you saw the other pieces of the puzzle really come on defense, and Troy Stetcher has been an absolute blessing. He's out of the lineup now with Matthias Ekholm coming back in. But, I mean, all the players right now this is the most they've ever looked like a team. It was always Connor and Leon and then whatever else. But right now, it's more of a team than we've ever seen before.
Rich from Edmonton writes in, he says, the Kevin Karius Show makes the early morning commute from St. Albert to the office downtown much more tolerable. Oh, I thought you were going to say, Rich, he makes it longer. Kev, listen, I'd pick the Oilers to lose every series for various reasons. But can I say this? The Oilers fans are the hardest on their team of any Canadian NHL team, maybe anybody in the NHL, because I thought Bouchard sucked. I thought Nurse sucked. I thought Skinner sucked. I thought they all sucked except Connor and Leon. And now they're the greatest thing ever. That's all I heard all year out of Edmonton. Media, too. They're the hardest in the country on their team.
I agree. I mean, when the team is not performing well, as you know, you have a busy text line. We have an enormously busy text line, and it explodes every time that the team is not doing well. And the main targets are, you mentioned it, Bouchard, it's Skinner. Those 2 guys get the brunt of it. Darnell Nurse gets a fair bit of it as well. But all 3 of those guys right now are playing outstanding. So you have to have a thick skin to play here. You heard the comments out of Toronto. We all heard those about, even Brad Marchand saying about playing in Toronto and how tough the media is, how tough the fans are. The Oilers, embrace it here and they feed off it. And that's why they are a successful team.
You know, I love that you brought that up because they kind of harnessed it or something. I don't know if they use it for motivation because there's no less pressure in Edmonton than Toronto. There might even be more. How do they do that? Because they're on the verge of winning a Stanley Cup potentially.
How do they do it? It's a good question. It's a fair question. But I think you have to, if you use it in a negative way, it's going to breed into you, and it's going to like cause and it's festering and things like that. You have to be able to use it in a positive way. The fans here, as you know, are smart. They know, they follow the game. They understand the game. They can take it over the line to an extent many times, but they are very knowledgeable hockey fans. And that's the thing. So I think that the players themselves use that in a positive way to build on it instead of using it in a negative way to deter them.
A great answer. And I would love to debate it with you. We could talk about it for hours, but I don't know if you've thought about this yet, because now in what you're doing, as opposed to the TV role before, it goes, right? You don't have a lot of time to sit and think about things beyond what's right in front of you. But maybe this summer you'll be at Crooked Lake, with your feet up, and think about Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway. Remember how the Oilers got beat up for not keeping those guys? Does it even matter now?
Absolutely not. I mean, yes, those are two good, very, very good young players. So that's the only hard part here is the cupboard is a little bit bare when it comes to young talent and young developed talent. So losing those two guys was tough for sure, but there's nothing they can do about it now. And I mean, if you ask Broberg and Holloway right now, what would they be doing? Would they rather be playing? You betcha they would. So they had wonderful years, and I think the Oilers are happy for them. But you know what? They also picked up a guy like Kasperi Kapanen off waivers from St. Louis, off waivers, and he has been outstanding in the playoffs. He's really looked good. He fits in well wherever he plays. He's a banger. He's a hitter. He can play with Leon. He can play down the line. It doesn't matter. And he's contributing offensively, and he's very, very physical. That's something they've never had. Like, he's even more physical than a Holloway was last year.
I'm just saying, it was just a big thing at the time. And now we don't even think about him. I get the future, but the future's now. Okay, here's a fun thing that I've been doing for years when I look at a preview a series. I want to do it with you. Check marks. Okay? Florida, Edmonton in this series. My check mark in goal is going to Florida, but I'm not going to guess what you're going to say. Who are you giving it to?
I would say it goes to Florida as well. And Stu Skinner has to continue to prove people wrong. You know, I mean, if you look at his numbers since he came in after the first two games against the Kings, those numbers are better than anyone. That's a simple fact. He let in the one bad goal in game number 5 in the conference final against Dallas. Other than that, he has been remarkable. But I would still say, yeah, I'll agree with you there, and I would put the check mark besides Bobrovsky.
It's funny because people get so wound up. Round 2, I'm watching NHL on TNT, and Henrik Lundqvist ranked the goaltending. Maybe you saw it. Of the 8 teams in round 2 still alive, he had the Oilers 8th.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, he would know. Hank would know. And at this point, who cares? Yet people get so wound up about this stuff. Have you noticed?
Well, they were ranked 16th, Normie. 16th to start the playoffs. Why would they, when you got one round in and you got 8 teams left, of course it'd be 8. And here's another thing. I wouldn't be totally shocked if Cal Pickard makes an appearance in this postseason still again. Because that's how, I mean, tell me the last time the 2 goalies had 6 wins each going into the Cup final. I think you got to go back to Leighton. Yeah, it's Philadelphia a million years ago. Leighton and I think Boucher.
Wow, that's a long time ago. Okay, check marks both sides to Florida in goal. Everybody knows that. D?
I'm going to give the Oilers the nod here. I mean, after Seth Jones and Ekblad, this is very similar to what we saw in the Dallas series. Everyone said, oh, the check mark is besides Dallas. They got the 2 number 1 guys. They got Harley, Heiskanen. But then after that, the Oilers probably had 5 ahead of what Dallas had to offer. You could put Forsling in there as well, but I'm going to give the edge, and that's because Matthias Ekholm is back, so I'll give the edge to the Oilers on defense.
Honestly, me too. But if this is the closest one of all the categories, if you could say wash, I would say wash, but you can't. Mm-hmm. Forwards, I think you got to say Edmonton because they got the best in the world.
Without question. They have the number one player in the world. They got the number two guy. And, I mean, you can talk all you want about Barkov, but Leon Draisaitl, it was a shame, a travesty. He only got one first-place vote when it came to the Selke voting. Crazy. That just shows you how much the teams out east watch the teams, or the reporters or the voters watch the teams out west. That was a damn shame that Leon only got the one first-place vote. I think he was sixth overall, which is crazy. So the top two guys they got, and then the depth again. The thing that we haven't really talked about here either, Normie, is that the difference now, you've got Kane, you've got Frederick, you've got Podkolzin, and you've got Kapanen. Those four guys, bang, bang, bang. They're going to miss Zach Hyman. There's no question about that. But they're also playing for Hyman right now as well.
Ryan in upstate New York says Philly in 2010. That seems like a long time ago.
There you go.
Yes,
it does. And Boucher.
Coaching, I'm sorry. It hurts, but I got to say Paul Maurice. Chris Knobloch from Imperial Sask. We love him, but I got to say Palmo. How about you?
I think you could say that just because he's been around a lot longer. But I'll tell you what, if you go and look at in-series adjustments, what Chris Knobloch has done through games 4 through 7, I mean, the record speaks for itself. I believe it's something like 18 or 19-2 that their record is. Sure, they lost game 7 last year, but as the series progresses, Knobloch is the kind of coach that makes the right little, small, subtle moves and subtle changes to either the lineup, maybe the way they play, that you don't maybe notice it all the time, but they are successful all the time. Look what he did when he added Kapanen and Stetcher, took out Ty Emberson, and then moved the defense around a little bit, and Stetcher was just absolutely great with Darnell Nurse. And now right now Stetcher's the seventh D-man because of Matthias Ekholm coming back. But I just think that there's little subtleties that Knobloch does that go unnoticed. I'm going to say this one's a wash if I can.
I was going to say, so who you taking? You're not taking anybody. That's fine.
Nope, I told you. I'm taking the Oilers in 5.
Okay. I'm just saying, no. I'm not saying the coaching. But you're saying a wash. Okay. I'm giving it to Paul Moore.
I mean, if you have to give an edge, if I have to say one or the other, you would say Maurice because of the experience, and he won a Stanley Cup last year. So you have to give him that.
How many times you watch Boys on the Bus?
Oh, I don't know. About same as you, I think, huh?
Okay, not as much as Slapshot, but still quite a few. Quote Rod Phillips here. Do you remember? Do you remember the 3 Saskatchewan coaches that have won a Stanley Cup? It's kind of a trick question. Oh. You can get 2 for sure. I know you can.
Really? Well, how far are we
I'm
going
putting
back?
you on the spot, and it's not fair. Well, Dick Irvin Sr., they say, is 1. And I'm not totally sure he's a Saskatchewan guy, but that's what the Sask Sports Hall of Fame says.
He's a Regina guy. He's from Regina.
That's what they say. Dick Irvin Sr., yes. Dick Irvin Jr., I know, was born in Regina.
Dick Irvin Jr. on the show a couple times, too.
Like all of us greats, born in Regina. Mike Babcock and Jared Bednar are the other 2.
Jared Bednar. That was the one that was why I couldn't believe I can't get Bednar. Well, he was a Humboldt guy, right? Obviously, so.
Yes. And born in Yorkton.
He was in Prince Albert when we were working there.
Yes, he was on the Raiders when I was. And Babs, born and raised in Saskatoon. Back on track here. Special teams, statistically, I don't even know. Oilers had the best power. Yeah. That's what you got?
They're 30% on the power play right now. I mean, you have to give the penalty kill to Florida, but overall, special teams, I would favor the Oilers in this one.
I'm with you. And then my last factor is the X factor, the hockey gods, the woo-woo, spiritual universe. It just feels to me like Edmonton's time. I've said that, McDavid, the look in his eyes, there's something different. Although we said that about the Leafs, though. We said they're different, and it turned out they weren't. So, X Factor, who do you like in that?
I got, for sure, for sure Edmonton is the X factor. Go back to the, and you've seen it probably a couple times as well, the documentary on Prime, when they show the camera in the dressing room and, Connor's almost unconsolable and Zach Hyman saying, we will be back here. And they are, and I think this is their time.
I was on a show in Florida yesterday, and the guy said, how did you feel about them having the camera in that room where McDavid clearly didn't know what was in the room? I'm like, I don't like it, but you're a TV guy. People still talk about that clip. How do you feel about it?
Well, again, I don't know if I would have allowed it on as much, to be honest with you. Like, I don't mind the camera being in there, but you have to have a say in what you get to see as well. And I understand that there are certain protocols and certain, maybe it was total carte blanche, whatever they had the NHL to put on this. They're trying to get, viewers to Prime and things like that. To me, I would have maybe shut it down a little bit on what the final product was there. You always want to have it documented, because just think again, and you brought up Boys on the Bus, if that's not documented, we're not seeing all the great stuff, and it doesn't even get to the cutting room floor. But if I were the Oilers, I probably would have maybe said, okay, maybe not as much because we're the losing team, and show Florida a bit more.
How do they feel about the camera being at the end of the table? Slats, see any birds? Grits, see any birds? Right. CFL, I got the Edmonton Elcamos, 5 wins in last place. You taking that deal or not?
No, they'll have more than 5 wins. I see them as a 500 team, maybe even one game. Well, 2 games, I guess it would have to be 8-10 or 9-9. That's what I got them at. I was at the game on Friday. Very disappointing to see less than 5,000 people in the stands for that one. So I know it's preseason, and I know fans have other things to do, and it's tough in the sense because there's a few other things going on, and we are an Oilers town first and foremost. There's no denying that, but it's going to be tough for the Double E to regain a bit of a foothold here on the Edmonton sports landscape.
Dickie, 1999, you and I were there. Commonwealth, preseason game 2, Riders at Eskimos, 35,000 people. And the only reason I know is I looked it up the other day because I'm writing a foreword for Narco's autobiography. I'm like, this got to be a misprint. 35,000 at a preseason game at Edmonton in 1999. Munch on that for a while.
Again, less than 5,000 there, and I understand it's preseason, but again, new ownership, the new president, Ed Hervey back as GM, new coach in Mark Killam, but they have a lot of work to do to get football fans back into that stadium.
Could they ever get back to 35,000 for a regular season game, let alone a preseason game? What do you think?
I don't see it. I mean, the lower bowl obviously is the only one that's open. They've closed off the upper bowl. There's tarps still on the end zone, and then in the one end zone, so that's closed off. I would say, how about you? Let's try to get back to 20,000 first, and then we'll talk about anything higher than that.
Less than a minute. Brian from Edmonton wants to know your thoughts on the Edmonton Prospects changing their name in the WCBL to the Energy City Cactus Rats.
I didn't understand it. I saw that, even the logo of the team, and I didn't understand it, but maybe the kids like it. I have no idea. But we're really blessed here. We got two ball teams that are, the collegiate ball teams in the 2 leagues. We focus a lot on the Riverhawks, obviously, down being in town, with the Prospects being a little outside of town. But it's great ball, and it's wonderful that we've got 2 teams in our city.
Baseball is an amazing thing. Kevin, as you know, you're amazing too. Thanks for coming on. We covered it all. Enjoy the hockey.
Thanks, Normie. Take care, buddy.
Don't lose my number. Oh, great. Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton checking in from the City of Champions. We're going to take a timeout and be back with more, a sports update and viewer takeover coming up in a moment. We'll let you go, Kev. I don't know if they take you off the screen here or not. Brand new production company. And it's going fantastically. 15 seconds? Okay, guys. There you go. And Kevin can adjourn. Sports update coming up and viewer takeover the rest of the way after this brief pause.
honky-tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th with special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Laquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
All right, we're back at it. Hour 2 here at the RP Show, Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, and it really is. Thanks for stopping by. It's episode number 1505 from the audience as we put together a collection of your comments. It's the most interactive show on the television and streaming. 902-518-3033 is the text line, and, of course, YouTube as well. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes it. He says, to me, the new production company has been doing a great job. It keeps getting better and better each day you're on. Oh, don't tell them that. It's going to go straight to their head. No, I'm teasing. Producer Corey says, too late. Already has. No. Hand out compliments. Be nice. Tell people they're doing a great job. The world needs more of that. Thank you, Wayne, for this. And we're very pleased to be working with Skycron. We love the look. We love the sound. We love dealing with them. And thanks from the production company, Corey has just said. Thanks to the viewers for the great comments. So what we've talked about today, this pride thing. The old me is coming out. The devil in me. It's triggering people to talk about the Pride Month. So it makes me want to talk about it more. The reactions are hilarious. We talked about this June being Pride Month and why does it matter to you? Stanley Cup Final, getting your predictions. It's week 1 in the Canadian Football League. What a week this is. Week 1 of the CFL, and we're asking not for your picks for this week's games, but for the Grey Cup overall. BW from Edmonton writes in, he says, where is Corey working from? He's working from outer space. He's working from the YQR. Look it up. Okay. Somebody finally asked, but I was kind of waiting to discuss all day. So just hang on. Before we get to that, some of the other comments here. Colin in Ottawa says, I'm thinking BC Lions versus Hamilton for Grey Cup 112. With your friend Bo Levi Mitchell going into retirement the right way, Roddy. Well, who predicted? Moose did. A Hamilton-Winnipeg Grey Cup. I don't know. But there's no wrong answers today. Come November, yes, not today. Let's hear what you have to say. Greg in Calgary writes in. He says, I wish I could say the Stampeders, but I think it's Riders over Argos. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in. He says, hi, Rod. I like the Panthers to win the cup because of a slight edge in coaching. That's from Wilf. See, you do that check mark thing. It does give you a very good indication as to who will win the series. And to be honest, there's a lot of checks on the Edmonton side in key areas. But coaching's not one of them. And coaching is important, obviously. But just about everybody's given Florida the check mark in that. I'm going to have to push the sports update to next segment because Robin in Prince Albert writes, and he says, your thoughts on the exodus of CHL players to the NCAA? Victoria lost 2 Impact players this past week alone. He said, not too sure if this is what the CHL wanted. Of course it's not what they wanted. I can't believe they didn't think that this was coming, but they had no control over it. I can talk about this until midnight, so producer Corey's going to have to tell me when to break, which you will. But I'm here in Moose Jaw. I'm wearing Warrior gear. So I'm in Roswells Park on the weekend. It was Moose Jaw Warrior night on Saturday night. A bunch of prospects were there for the Warriors, and they talked about that the PA Raiders lost some big studs. The thing is, 98% of people in watching this show don't even care. But the point is, college hockey, NCAA, U.S. college hockey are just walking up to the best hockey players in Canada and giving them largely a blank check. And I know that's happening because it's also happening in baseball. And I know those families. The thing is, those baseball players are free to go. So here's the bind. Let's just say the Western Hockey League, because we're based in Western Canada. The bind that they're in. You going to match this? Where they're getting offers, I'm told, of up to $1 million? That's the rumor. I don't know for sure. Any of you big-pocketed junior hockey owners want to write a check like that? I know we're going to have to carry this over into the next. I used to always be pro-owner, but now I'm sitting here going, what are they doing for me, those owners? Nothing. So I'm going to say, match or you're toast. They're not going to get, we'll continue this after the break, and you're welcome to write in with your thoughts as well if you have any. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Okay, we are back, everybody, for the final segment of the program today. Yes, I'm going downtown to buy a horn right after this. I'm just so excited about it. If anybody is watching in Moose Jaw and would like to direct me to any specific place, that would help. I'm thinking one of those like, woo, like a Viking horn or something. I feel like there's probably a lot of places. What's that, Corey? Yeah, that would be cool. I'm quite impressed with myself. This thing has been traveling back and forth with me from the bunker. Darren ordered it for me on Amazon years ago. The John Ohm gong. This little ditty I picked up at the Hobby Lobby in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Yeah. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, really like Kevin Karius. Well, what a coincidence, because Kevin Karius really likes Kevin Karius. I'm teasing. He's my oldest friend in the business. Ron in Calgary writes in, he says, since I've been wrong about Skinner so far, I'm betting the farm on the Oilers and use reverse psychology. Might as well win cash as a downside. Yeah, I'll tell you, that's the one thing that the people in Florida think they actually have a rivalry with the Tampa Bay Lightning that somehow rivals Oilers Flames. You don't. There's nothing like it. I've spent enough time in Toronto and a little less, but still enough time in Montreal to know that's a great rivalry. There is nothing that I've ever seen that compares to Oilers Flames. We had a fun Pats Warriors thing back in the day, but it's dead. Those people in Alberta wake up every day and think of new ways to hate the rival team. And I like it. I've spent enough time there to know that. It's impressive. Oh, Allie, you're still with us. Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, check a resale store. What is that? Used? I don't want a used horn. I don't want somebody else's spit in that thing. Unless the term resale means something else. I don't know. I could sit here and answer your questions all day. That's fun, too. BW from Edmonton writes in and he says, Rod, are you doing any play-by-play on WCBL online games? Yes. I'm broadcasting every game for the Moose Jaw Miller Express. And what's funny, the other night, Saturday night, this game was 3+ hours long. I think probably at least 3.5. And we were down 19-8 at one time. Had a hell of a rally, ended up losing 19-16. But like in the 8th inning, I'm like, I'm going to play Tim Hortons Trivia. Is Tim Hortons sponsoring it? Well, they don't know that, but yeah, we're going to call it Tim Hortons Trivia. So I started throwing questions out, and I said, the first one to answer, who's the tallest member on the Miller team, wins a gift card from Tim Hortons. I didn't think anybody was listening. My phone goes nuts. Oh, very good way to find out who's listening. Give away free stuff or watching. So what I do yesterday, went down to Tim Hortons and bought a bunch of gift cards. Yeah, I paid for them. What the hell? Benefits me, benefits the team, benefits everybody. Although I did get a note from the team saying, we'll cover that. Yeah, fun thing to do. Especially, if you get bored or that kind of thing. Late at night. I'm calling these games alone. So yeah, on Flow Sports, Flow College. Look it up. Heavy Gym Sports Update. The Toronto Blue Jays, riding a 5-game win streak and sitting 3 games above 500, have the day off today as they get set to open a 3-game set at Rogers Center Tuesday against Philadelphia. The Phillies are second in the NL East, 1 game behind the Mets. Eagles star running back Saquon Barkley has been announced as EA Sports cover athlete for Madden NFL 26. Barkley's sensational backward hurdle from Week 9 of last year's Super Bowl winning season is on the cover. The deluxe edition features a tight shot of Barkley in his game day gear. Barkley last season set an NFL single-season rushing record, postseason included, topping the mark of 2,476 yards set by TD Terrell Davis. By the way, Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where they never have an off-season. That's never an off-season at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They're open Tuesday to Sunday. Stop in at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary, and tell them the RP Show sent you. Denver Barkey scored twice. Sam Dickinson added 3 assists, and the OHL champion London Knights beat the Medicine Hat Tigers 4-1 Sunday to win the 2025 Memorial Cup Championship in Rimouski, Quebec. And let me just finish this up by saying Heavy Gym brings you the sports headlines. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. So NCAA, we all know what that is, right? College sports have come in and started offering, let's say 6-figure, maybe 7-figure deals, NIL deals to Canadian hockey players, the Connor Bedards of the world, the Connor McDavids of the world, and even not even as good as that. Major Junior, for which the championship was handed out last night. What are they going to do? Because there are some really rich owners. Regina, Saskatoon, Brandon, probably Medicine Hat, although I don't know that guy. Calgary for sure. They got money. Do they want to pay the players? I don't need to ask. No, they don't. And that's to not even speak about the PAs and the Moose Jaws and the Swift Currents and the Lethbridges. They don't have the money to pay the players, so what the hell? So even if the rich owners do, the rich teams do, these teams don't have a chance. Matt in Winnipeg writes in, he says, thanks for the show, Rod. Thank you, Matt, for watching. I appreciate you, brother. And enjoy Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up next. John Ohm says, Flow Sports. Well, look at it. It's FLO Sports. FLO Sports. And Flow College. It's on both, for sure, one or the other. So anyways, I don't work in junior hockey anymore, so I'm just watching it casually. I don't have a dog in the race. I don't really care. I'm interested to see how they handle this because it ain't good. See you tomorrow, everybody. Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?